Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that gives you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very senior and respected public relations professional uh, from Hertfordshire, UK, coming on our show for a second time, Laura Perks. Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me again. I'm really honored to be here.
Thank you. Laura is a public relations strategist. So, Laura, you specialize in helping entrepreneurs and small business owners. What inspired you to focus on this audience?
It's an interesting question,
Mhm.
and I would say I've been in the public relations industry for 21 years,
Mm-hmm.
and the industry has really evolved and grown, but there's still a perception that public relations is for the rich and famous, it's for the really big global brands.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I know that media outlets, podcasts, publications, they're looking for experts to
Yeah,
share their knowledge and expertise.
absolutely.
So for me, I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs and small business
Mm-hmm.
owners. And for me, it's like you've got the knowledge that audiences need.
Mm-hmm.
You can absolutely secure that big brand press coverage on a smaller budget, working with different experts
Mm-hmm.
who have set up to support those entrepreneurs. And
Yeah.
for me, entrepreneurs are innovative, they're disruptive, they're slightly scrappy. For me, that's what I love. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's about connecting entrepreneurs to the journalists who can help elevate their expertise
Mm-hmm.
further.
Very well said. And was there a particular moment in your career when you realized that the traditional PR model was no longer enough?
Yes, I would say that it was actually the COVID-19 pandemic
Mm-hmm.
that really highlighted how traditional news outlets, it's shaped by the government, especially in the UK. We are fed messages that
Mm-hmm.
maybe we don't all agree with. So for me, it's about going against the status quo. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually how else can I position entrepreneurs in front of their target audience, their ideal clients? And we know from social media, from entertainment channels like YouTube and TikTok, that people are getting their information from multiple different sources.
Right.
So for me, public relations, social media marketing, there's more of like a blurred lines now than there ever has been.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about how do I get you, the entrepreneur, in front of your audience
Mm-hmm.
in the fastest, most impactful way. So I
Interesting.
would say the pandemic kind of created the catalyst to me expanding how I reach audiences.
Amazing. Thank you. Let's now talk about your niche famous framework.
Yeah.
What exactly is the famous framework and how did it come to life?
So I have to be honest, I didn't realize it was a framework because it's just what I've been doing with my clients over the past 20 odd years.
Hmm.
And it was only recently a friend of mine said, but surely you've got a framework. And I was
Hmm.
like, well, I probably have, but I haven't coined it as a framework.
Hmm.
And she said to me, oh, that's your USP. That's your fame factor. That's what makes you different.
Right.
So it was almost kind of owning that and bringing it to life
Hmm.
so that entrepreneurs could understand, oh, okay, that's the journey I'm going to be taking.
Hmm. Fascinating. And for someone new to public relations, what are some of the core pillars of your framework?
So there are four pillars,
Mm-hmm.
and the first one starts with perception because how you perceive yourself will
Hmm.
affect how you're showing up online, offline, in networking meetings. And then how you perceive yourself is how others will perceive you.
Hmm.
But there's often a disconnect between who you are now
Hmm.
and maybe who you need to become
Hmm.
to step into that next level of growth or to scale your business.
Hmm.
So we start with like a perception audit. just
Right.
to make sure everything's aligned.
Mm,
And then we focus on positioning.
mm,
Where are you positioned in the market? How
mm,
many people outside of your inner circle know who you are?
mm,
Are people recommending you on social media? Are you receiving referrals from clients and people in your network?
mm,
Then we look at publicity. So
mm,
we don't start with publicity, we start with the kind of background work.
mhm,
And then it's really looking at the basics of public relations.
mm,
How do you stand out in a crowded marketplace?
mm,
How do you choose which media outlets to share your expertise with? And then the fourth pillar, and this is something that not many public relations professionals will talk about,
mhm.
but the link between PR and profit.
Right.
As business owners, we have to make sure we are increasing income and that our investments are delivering a financial ROI.
Yeah.
It's about tracking how well your media coverage is performing. What are you doing to leverage those opportunities? So it's not just a case of, oh, I've been featured in Forbes.
Mm,
It's how can you make that feature work harder for you?
mm,
Using it when you're commenting on LinkedIn posts, using it with prospects who maybe haven't chosen to work with you yet, and then, of course, social media. So
yeah.
it's about building that visibility engine that will work while you sleep.
What a great response. Thank you. You also emphasize becoming niche famous.
Mm.
What does this mean and why is it important?
So for me, I've never wanted to use the word famous in my marketing
Mm,
because it comes with a connotation.
mhm,
You think of celebrities, influencers, reality TV stars. But when you become niche famous, you're simply being known for what you do.
mhm,
You are the kind of standout, obvious choice in the work that you're doing. So for me, I'm niche famous as a public relations and visibility
right.
strategist. For you, your niche fame could be that you are simply sharing your expertise with entrepreneurs. You're an
Mm,
author, you're a podcast host.
mm,
So it's just so that you are top of mind for any kind of entrepreneur or small business owner who needs your expertise. It's just standing out, building the trust, the relationship, the credibility,
mm,
so that when entrepreneurs and small business owners come across you, they're like, absolutely, I need to work with you and you
mm.
alone.
Yeah, well said. And Laura, what is the relationship between PR and trust building in a crowded marketplace?
Mm. Trust is the biggest currency, isn't it?
Correct.
In business and in life. Like
Yeah.
I say to people, relationships are the key driver to your business.
Mm,
Obviously, we need money to grow the business, but it all comes down to trust and relationships.
mm,
So, with public relations, you want to earn the trust of journalists, podcast hosts, TV producers, event organizers who are going to allow you to speak on stage. You
mm,
need to be building those key relationships with those people, but equally, you need to build trust with their audiences. Now, when you're featured in the press, an audience will instantly give you more credibility because you've been featured in a publication they know, like, and
mm,
trust,
mm,
as opposed to just posting on social where, anyone can say anything.
mhm,
When you're featured in the press, you just instantly earn another level of credibility.
mm. Well said. You also said social media alone is limiting.
Mm.
Yet we see business owners rely solely on social media. Why do you think they do that?
I think it's easy.
Uh-huh.
And I also think that, social media, it's very social. People are interacting and engaging in your content, you're
Mm,
getting real time feedback, and it lulls you into this false sense of security that that's all you need to do.
mm.
Yet, not everybody that you want to work with will be on social media. I see it with
Right.
people with LinkedIn all the time. They want
Mm,
to get in front of CEOs, and they're relying on LinkedIn
Hmm.
to make that introduction. And it's like, but CEOs are not sat on LinkedIn all day.
Correct.
You
Correct.
still need that personal approach. You still need to stand out in their inbox, give them a reason to engage with you and build that
Hmm.
relationship.
Hmm.
So social media absolutely plays a part in business growth and visibility, raising your profile.
Hmm.
But a CEO is more likely to be listening to a podcast, reading a media publication to stay ahead of the news agenda. If you're featured there,
Hmm.
you instantly become more recognizable.
Hmm. Amazing. And how do you help your clients turn their PR activities into business goals and revenue?
So when I work with clients, it's understanding where's the business now? Where would you like the business to be in 12 months' time? And then I kind of reverse engineer the steps that they need to take to get
Hmm.
from where they are to where they want to be.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of people approach PR from a sense of, I'll be seen everywhere.
Hmm.
But you and I both know that you can't speak to everyone. You have to
Correct.
have an ideal client.
Correct.
It's about understanding which media outlets, which podcasts, which events are your ideal clients
Hmm.
consuming, spending time with, and then how do we get your expertise into the topics that they're talking about? So
Hmm.
it's a lot more strategic, it's a lot more targeted, so that you are showing up in the spaces that matter.
Mhm.
Because we're busy business owners, we don't have
Hmm.
time to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And then it's also really difficult to track the impact of that in the back end
Hmm.
if you're everywhere. So if you're more targeted, you're showing up in the right spaces, you're talking to the right people, and
Hmm.
you're building those relationships and that trust.
Hmm. Amazing. What, in your view, is one mindset shift business owners need to make to fully leverage PR as a growth tool?
That's a really interesting question. And I don't know if there's one answer
Yeah.
that will magically make their mindset
Correct.
different. It's understanding, especially as an entrepreneur or a small business owner, people are buying into you. It's
Hmm.
your expertise, your knowledge, your framework, your energy. You need to show up and share that, because
Hmm.
that is what people are buying into. That's what's helping cut through the noise
Hmm.
of everyone we see on social media. So it's trusting that you showing up and sharing
Hmm.
going to have an impact. It's going to create a ripple effect that over
Hmm.
time, when that trust has been built, those people will then choose to work with you.
Hmm. Well said. You also work with coaches, creatives, authors, and legal experts.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, how do PR strategies differ across these different specialisms?
the, the framework stays the same.
Uh-huh.
So it's all about understanding, again, where your business is now, where
Hmm.
you want it to go, the
Correct.
topics you want to be known for.
Hmm.
And that's just applied to different industries through the various different media outlets and platforms. So it could be, I'll use Sky News as an example. Sky News will interview CEOs of Fortune 500 companies,
Mm-hmm.
but they will also interview entrepreneurs and small business owners because
Hmm.
they often get a more honest and truthful answer.
Right.
They get a different perspective of industry because
Hmm.
CEOs are briefed to stick to the company message to make sure that the company brand stays intact,
Hmm.
whereas entrepreneurs can often be more truthful in what's actually happening, what impact have new government initiatives actually got on the entrepreneur and the small business owner. So
Hmm.
it's, I guess the tactics are similar, but
Mhm.
the approach and the publications that we speak to That's what varies.
Right, right. And you also work with well-being experts and therapists.
Mhm.
How do you help them build authority in a sensitive, trust-based field?
Mm. Again, it's making sure that they are fully embodying what they're teaching, and again, just connecting them to the right audience, because
Hmm.
we're bombarded with information 24/7.
Hmm.
And especially with the rise of TikTok, you see a lot of people making statements or allegations that aren't necessarily backed up by science. There
Hmm.
is no fact behind it. Whereas a media outlet is governed by codes of conduct and ethics. Every person they feature, everything they say has to be verified as
Hmm.
factual.
Hmm.
So, again, especially in the wellness industry, when there are lots of people saying and doing different things, it's making sure you're standing out as someone they can trust,
Hmm.
someone who's using research, quoting statistics. And they don't have to be research or statistics that the therapist owns, it could be populated
Hmm.
already, from the World Health Organization. So, using that to really kind of enhance your credibility.
Hmm. I have time for two more questions for you, Laura. When working with authors or thought leaders, how do you help them to amplify their message beyond their own platforms?
Mm, that's a really great question. And for a lot of my clients, I get them to start with podcasts.
Hmm.
I think with a podcast, there's already an engaged audience. They already trust the podcast host.
Hmm.
The host is already having conversations with similar experts or covering specific topics.
Hmm.
And it feels like a more relaxed, natural way
Right.
of sharing your message to a wider audience. So,
Hmm.
you and I talking today, we could be friends just having a coffee catch up.
Correct.
Whereas if I was to be interviewing you as a journalist,
Hmm.
you might be worried about, what am I going to say? Are they
Correct.
going to twist this? How's the
Right.
end result going to look?
Hmm.
So again, with authors and thought leaders, it's taking their essence and again connecting it with the right outlets, with the
Right.
right audience. So again, I sound like I'm repeating myself
Hmm.
because the tactics are the same. It just depends on the personality of the person I'm working with.
Right.
Some of my clients, they want to be disruptive. They
Hmm.
want to say things that go against the grain, whereas others are more reserved.
Yeah.
So it's about, for me, matching the energy of the client to the types of media outlets I put them in touch with.
Yeah. What a great response. And my last question for you, Laura. Could you share a real life example of how PR led to increased leads or sales for one of your clients? And I don't want any names, of course.
No, of course, confidentiality is key.
Correct.
So I've been working with a client. She's a leadership coach, and she does a lot on like organizational change and
Hmm.
culture and behavior. And she was invited onto a podcast in 2022.
Hmm.
From that podcast, she shared it on her LinkedIn. From there, one of her connections invited her to speak on stage at his event.
Hmm.
The audience was full of her ideal clients. From that same relationship, he has then referred her to his clients, to his network. And since then, she has been invited to private events and parties.
Hmm.
She's run workshops and moderated events, again, for her ideal clients.
Wow.
So while that opportunity hasn't yet resulted in
Hmm.
millions of pounds in the bank,
Hmm.
she's continually being invited to other opportunities that position her as an expert in front of her ideal clients. So
Hmm.
it's just, and it shows you how long it can take
Yeah.
to build that know, like, trust factor for
Yeah.
those clients to be in the perfect position to say, I'm now ready to work with you.
Hmm.
So that's probably a really like great case study of not only how PR can open the door to other opportunities, but also how long it really does take to build relationships and trust.
Correct. Wow. And what a great story. But on that note, Laura, thank you so much for speaking to me. I think one big takeaway from this for me is your words. You need to understand where you are now and where do you want to be. I think that's an important factor. But we covered some very interesting ground on the values of PR, on your niche famous framework, how you actually support your clients to use PR for profit. Thank you again for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you again.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.